How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Roderick with us tonight. He can say his name, what he does, all that jazz.
What's up? I am Roderick, also known as Steve Kellner. Roderick is like my pen name. It's kind of just, when I was starting a band a long time ago for some solo music, I thought Steve Kellner is a terrible band name. So I came up with Roderick.
I think that's a good landing point,
Right? It's like one name.
It just rolls off the tongue, Roderick. It's good. But I have known Steve for quite a many years. I'm almost positive, if my memory serves me correct, because it's going on the daily. I'm pretty sure we met at an Idlewave show, like a very, very, very long time ago. And I told Steve I felt bad because I'm pretty sure I had seen him play or he was hanging out for Idlewave, and I was like, man, I should get Steve's band on. And then many years passed, and he DM'd me and said, hey, I'd love to come on this show. And I was like, I feel terrible. I was supposed to hit you up a lot sooner than this point, but I'm glad, again, Steve, for reaching out. You can be rest assured it will not be this many years since the next time you'll be on the channel. I hope so. Fingers crossed,
That's great. I'll take most of the credit for why it took so long. As far as like the project Roderick, I don't do it full time. So it's I kind of phase in and out of being very active and dormant. I've been very active for about the last year. So I'm trying to keep that up. I'm, feeling inspired and making a lot more music than I used to. So
that's awesome.
Strike while I can.
Well, the first question, Steve, I ask this to every guest I have on here, and I am just a music nerd, so I love knowing like the history, the origin. How did you start out? Has Roderick, I obviously imagine, isn't your first project, but how did you get out, started in music? Like, have you always been, really into music? Has your family kind of been into music? What was your first inclination to music and being like, what? I think I should do this. This would be fun.
Yeah. I guess, I've always had like a musical family, a very music obsessed family. And I've been playing guitar and trying to write songs for girls since I was like 14 years old.
Respect.
Yeah. I think I picked up a guitar, because I started seeing a lot of rock bands. I was obsessed with like Blink-182, Sum 41.
Ooh,
I started songwriting because I was trying to just, express feelings. And as a little kid, an angsty teenager, writing songs was something I had a lot of fun with. It got me started in what's now my profession, which is audio recording, audio production.
Yeah.
I started recording my own music for fun. I bought like a Radio Shack microphone. It was like a, 3-4 inch long mic. And I used to record my own songs until like the wee hours of the night. And now I record professionally, but it's funny. I think writing my own songs made me fall in love with recording and the whole process of what kind of marries the two, like a good song meeting a good production, a good recording.
Yeah. That's really cool because I feel like that was like the first thing that I kind of realized about the song you sent me, 33 Sinking In. Great song, by the way. We'll get into it a little bit more, but I thought like the production on it was like so interesting, and I like the different layers, and I was telling Steve I was making dinner before we hopped on this on this interview, and I was listening to it in my headphones, and I was like jamming out and stuff. And I always love when I have bands on and they send me something, they're like, okay, this is what we're trying to like put out or pushing for. And I find that as an interviewer, I always like to try to do my homework in some way, shape, or form. And so, Steve made it very easy because I could just click a link and listen to the new song. But I was curious because I was like, he's got to do some sort of like production, or the way that he's like arranging the song, I feel like is very meticulous. And so I'd imagine if you weren't a musician, you're like, oh, this is good. I like this song. But like if you know like the inner workings of writing a song and like crafting it, you're like, okay, this guy spent a lot of time like fidgeting and trying to figure out where things go. And
Yeah,
I gotta give you credit
absolutely.
because it sounds sick. Like I was not expecting the production value on the song as much as I did because, like I said, I was going into this kind of blind, and I was like, man, delightfully surprised is probably the best adjective I could use to be like, wow, this is great. So I really enjoyed it. Did you have a good time like working on this, and how long has it been a process of working on this song specifically? Because I imagine you have more in the pipeline. I'd argue. I don't know. I'm just maybe reading into the situation.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you so much. That's a great compliment because as someone who definitely, it can be a challenge to produce your own music,
Sure.
just in the sense of like there's no end time. There's no okay, this is the last day we're working on it. It's like no, it's an open book until it's
Hmm.
closed. This song I'm particularly proud of because it's a pretty brand new song. I wrote this about less than 2 months ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's like I have a ton of other music in the works, but this song is like hot off the press. I, I I found an old voice memo in my phone where I was playing some guitar, and I found like a melody that I really liked about 2 months ago, and then I've been having a lot of good writing when I'm taking a shower, just like creative writing in my
Feel.
head.
Yeah.
They say writing, and basically I started getting ideas for this song because I listened to the voice memo, and as soon as I got out of the shower, I grabbed my guitar, I started kind of scratching out the song, and I hit record on the voice memo after about 5 minutes because I was like, all right, I got to go to work. I got the idea at least. I hit
Yeah.
record, and what's really cool about this song is the chorus like is completely improvised, and it
Wow. Okay.
stuck. The lyrics that I improved, everything except for like you can hear the words. I'll send it to you later for fun. It's kind of fun, cool to listen to. Like you can hear the words in it, and but I originally said creeping in instead of sinking in, and after working on it a bit, I was like, sinking in's a little bit better of a feeling. Creeping in's a little. That makes it sound like I'm surprised that I've gotten old. I'm not that surprised. But yeah, so this song is like hot off the press. I started recording it like the week after I wrote it, and I found some time, and it just kind of clicked. It came out very quickly. Like
Hmm.
some songs take months, sometimes more than that, and this song took, less than 2 months, start to finish. So I'm super excited because it's pretty raw, and I think compared to some of my older stuff, I don't know, I go through phases, and I'm kind of back to just saying whatever the fuck I feel like again. So that's where I'm at with this one. This one's kind of a little sarcastically depressive, which is that's kind of like me in a nutshell. Sometimes, it's like your friend who's the realist, but he's kind of an asshole. But it's like, well, he's not wrong. So
I found a lot of I felt a lot of like relative thoughts comparatively because like I was listening to it and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be 30 next year. So like for me, it's like I also feel like obviously young at heart. Of course, you wouldn't be in the scene. I feel like if you're
always,
not young at heart, um,
absolutely.
but I do feel like I agree with you in that sense where it's like where you're like, man, that kind of like more I guess the way like narcissistic way of thinking of things where you're like man, I'm gonna be an old guy in the music scene. I'm like a fucking like young 30-year-old in the music scene, and then you see someone at the show and they're like 18, 19 years old, then you're like, god, I feel like ancient, and it's
Oh
still, I
yeah.
mean, granted, it's still fun. Like I don't want to sound like I'm just like the old man on the internet being like, I can't believe you kids still listen to rock, Um, but I think that it's cool because I think I have said this in a couple of previous like interviews where I think it's just cool to be a part of that for as long as I've been a part of it for, and that practically have changed my life, you know? And so
Absolutely.
I got to give myself a lot of credit, and I'm sure along with you, same Steve, but like it's so cool to see how much it has changed and evolved, and I think how much it influences you, whether you like actively give it credit or not. I think it's an interesting thing, and just to kind of circle back on, you know, you producing your own music, do you find yourself to be like the hardest critic on like your music specifically, and then do you happen to send that song to anyone else to kind of be like, listen, am I thinking out of pocket here? Is this where it should be, or like am I going nuts and thinking like this is not right? I'm just curious, like how who keeps you grounded in that aspect? Because I can imagine producing your own music, you could just be like, man, that like 1 second where there was just like, you know, an extra guitar note and it shouldn't be in there, you know, like how can I like collectively make those thoughts work? Like how do you feel? How do you keep yourself grounded in the sense of like being a musician, but also like producing your own music?
Yeah. It's definitely a challenge at times.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I think what I try to do is I try to just keep myself in check. Like what I've tried to do the most is separate writing from recording, which I
hmm
think is always a benefit. You know, finish writing your idea, and then when you can finally hit record, you have something to kind of like perform. You let the concept take over. With this song in particular, I was a lot less hard on myself because I think I used to try to write things that were like out of my skill level a lot. And,
Okay.
it's like you always felt like you have something to prove as a songwriter, complex chord progressions, really complicated leads. My style of writing the last few years, I've just been like, screw it. I'd rather have fun and make things that I think I would want to listen to, like enjoyable,
hmm
keep it a little simpler. If that means I could play it better, if that means I'm less frustrated recording. And, yeah, with this, it was great. I wasn't really sure how I was going to sing the chorus, and then I hit record, and it's fun to record myself. I bring my little screen. I have like in my studio. I have like a portable screen, so
Oh,
I'm
nice. Okay.
in the booth with my mouse and keyboard for a couple hours, and I just hit record, and I start kind of just making decisions on the fly. And I've learned to trust myself as an engineer, which has carried over into musicianship a little bit. I think you just have to do what you're good at the time. You can always like challenge yourself, and I think
Sure.
it's fun
Yeah.
too. But yeah, I've learned to just make decisions in the moment and forge ahead. You could always look back, but as far as what you said is like scrutinizing the one minuscule moment, I do that all of the time. I'm my own worst client. You should see the notes I write for myself. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty great. And it's like third measure, second snare hit is 2 decibels too loud. It's like, I, yeah, I act like a crazy person, but I think, I'm happy in the end. And then as long as I cross all of those T's like 5 times, I'm happy.
It's gonna be a weird looking T, but I get it. You know, like I think it's just like yeah, line, 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 line.
Yeah.
No, I get it because I think in music you have, you know, for talking with musicians for almost 7 years now, like you get to know like the iotas of what people go through, and you're like, I just realized that just like musicians and people that love music in this like intense way are very like methodical, and where they'll be like, okay, like doesn't seem right, or like this isn't right, or like whatever. And as I think I've aged, I've also just been like, you know, whatever. If they fucking write like a country song, like that's great. You know, if they write like a brutal death metal song, wonderful. You know, like I'm not. It doesn't phase me as much as it used to, and I feel like younger, I used to be like a lot more jaded and be like, oh yeah, you know that pinch harmonic was like just not 100% on the note, you know,
Yeah.
and I've learned to appreciate it for what it is now, and I'm kind of similar to you, like the simpler, the better in some ways, where you're just able to be like, man, the melody on this was great, like it had like a clear and concise vision, and I think that's what really sticks out to me. But then it also is cool because then like having people on and talking about like a new song or something like that, like you get to see all the like you know they put like a ton of hard work and effort into it, and you're just like, for them to release it, it's like, oh, like this amazing feeling, of
Yeah.
a release. So I imagine, much like most of your music, you're very excited to get this out. And guys, I can tell you, it's a good one. And this is the barometer, Steve, that I base it off of. If I can start humming the melody in my head like within like a couple song listens, then it's good. So I was like, I was like humming it in my head, and I was like, all
Awesome.
right, this is it. This is it. We've got it. We're good. So I got to
Awesome.
give you a lot of credit for having that sort of like earworm effect, which is
That's great.
always loved that. Um,
Yeah. Like I said with this song, I sometimes you could try to write a chorus and rewrite a chorus, and with this one just was like a catharsis. It just fell out of me, so it feels good when you're you constantly as a musician reevaluating your methods
mhm.
because what worked last time doesn't work this time, and I've been calling it lately like trying to catch lightning in a bottle, and every
Yeah.
now and then it feels like you're able to just be like, whoa, this idea just came to me, and if I'm able to get it out, it might be worth something. And
Sure, yeah. I think
it's
it's
tough,
I think it's
but it's
cool
fun.
because like now it's like you can like literally, like, I could pull my phone up and like record a voice memo and be like, this is what I wanted, like this is a cool like melody I thought of, or like a cool guitar part I thought of, or like, and I think that that's really cool, and I'm glad that people are taking that opportunity to like just, like you said, capture that lightning in a bottle in a way. Uh and I think it's really interesting to see, like, even if like there's one thing you're like, I'm writing this riff, maybe it might not be here for me right now at this moment, but then like a year later you're like, oh shit, let me look through some of my like old archive stuff, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
this is a great guitar riff, I love this, how can I like integrate it? And then you're like, the creative juices come out, and that's great.
yeah.
um do you feel like, again, I know we talked about you doing like, audio engineering and stuff. Do you feel like the bands that you record wind up making their sorts of influences impact, your music taste and like how you go about things? Because I know
Oh
there's
yeah,
some like producers where you're like, they're very like in the lane, and they're very much like that, that's good, and that, I think that's awesome. And but I also feel like there's other producers where they're just like, yo, throw all the shit at me,
yeah.
I'm gonna absorb it all, and then I'm just gonna tell you like, this is what we feel like might work or whatever, and
Yeah.
are a little bit more integrated.
Yeah, I think at this point, when I produce, I work with a lot of different types of music, and over the years, like I think I asked me this like 10 years ago, I probably would have said, I kind of now I listen to what I listen to, and but at this point, 10 years later, I'm influenced by a little bit of everything. I
Hmm.
think I've started to listen to a lot more pop music in general and like hip hop than I ever have when I was younger, just from the music that I've worked with. And I think it's influenced my, like, I grew up with Blink 182, like I said, and I've always liked pop punk music. I love
Hmm.
the energy that it brought, but um, I think, some of the bands I work with nowadays, like one band I can think of immediately is this great band called Palomino. They're from, the Montclair, New Jersey area.
Okay.
Terrific band. They sound a bit like Balance and Composure, but
Ooh, yeah.
definitely worth checking them out. Working with them over years, I think they've influenced my style of just like the way I like pick up a guitar and try to write something. Watching them make songs and work on songs in the studio, it's definitely one notable influence, I think. And then aside from that, like I said, a little bit of everything. I think whether it's like a country song, a hip hop song, or like a straight up pop song, I definitely find things that I like about all of it, and I can't say it all shows up in my music, but maybe it accumulates a little bit. So
Yeah, you get a little sprinkle of this, a little sprinkle of that. I
yeah,
felt like when I was listening to 33 sinking in, it reminded me a lot of like the most current like Knuckle Puck record, 2020. It had that
cool.
sort of like indie kind of like pop punk sort of feel to it. Obviously some definitely emo influence as well, because it had that like it kind of reminded me of like a mesh between like movements, like new movements, new Knuckle Puck, and I probably put like the tiniest bit of Blink 182 in there, like just for like the the OG-ness,
Cool.
and I think you hit that. Like, I think for me personally, like that's the type of music I really have been gravitating a lot towards, like that indie kind of alternative sort of music recently. Obviously, I love like a song that's just like stupid heavy and just like will blow me back, emotionally, and probably mess my face up in some way. Um, but I also love the like indie stuff, and I've been telling people, on the channel, I've been getting more into like folk music, and I've been trying to like branch out a lot more in terms of my genre pool, very similarly to you, where I feel like I was kind of jaded at a certain point where I was like, I only listen to post-hardcore, I only listen to metalcore, I only listen to deathcore, and that's kind of the genres that I stick in. And
Yeah.
then, I started having other people on, that are in the indie scene. And you're like, oh shit, this is really good. I like this. And then I had some people in like the rap scene, hip hop scene. You're like, oh, that's cool. I like that. That's different, completely different from like a metal style music. And then you're like, okay, now we're gonna have some like folk and like country people, and that's like really interesting and really unique, and a lot more of that stuff centered around like lyricism and stuff. So I feel like very similarly to you, I've become less jaded, and I think I've allowed myself to accept more music, and even pop too. I used to be really jaded about pop music. I used
Oh
to be like,
yeah.
don't put that top 40 shit on the computer, like I don't need that. I don't want to
Oh
listen to
yeah.
it. And now I'm like, yo, give me some Dua Lipa. I love that shit. Harry Styles, chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
I, I was the same way. I think a good response to anyone who really hates or rags on pop music is like, you might hate pop music. Why don't you try writing a pop song that like, people actually want to listen to? It's really difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can say it boils down to certain things that work every time, but getting that right recipe that's like not quite annoying, but gets
Just
stuck in your
enough.
head
Yeah.
close enough. Um, it's pretty impressive when it happens, and you're like, "Damn, I'm mad that this works so well." But here I am singing Dua Lipa as I'm, walking down the stairs. Like,
Yeah.
damn,
I
it is.
feel that, it's like I think that pop music as a whole just has the hooks on point. Like, I don't care how many times I've listened to Don't Start Now, like by Dua Lipa. I don't like, I probably listened to that song like into the ground, like beat that song into the ground, and I still listen to it because I still think it's good, and it's like probably my like 500th listen at this point. I still think it's a good song. People could say it's like, people could say pop music's recycled, whatever, but I always think like if a song like that can remain in your head and you can hear like, now I cannot stop hearing like that bass line like of that song, and you're just like, what the fuck's going on,
Yeah.
like, but also at the same point you're like, man, the whoever their team of writers are, and like the people who have done like the production on the song itself, you know kudos to you guys, because
Oh yeah.
you must like study like Stockholm syndrome or something, because I'm fucked up, like I love a good pop book, that's my problem, so
Oh, that's great. No,
but
it's
yeah.
true. I think, yeah, that sometimes it really comes down to the dream team, getting the right people who you can kind of trust each other's judgment and not question the wrong things, and just
Sure.
what I've learned works the most. And it sounds so like simple, but it goes back to the whole reason I started music was like it was fun. It was fun. It was fun was the only reason it mattered.
Hmm.
And since I've been doing music for like half of my life at this point, it took me a while to get back to that point where I was like able to have fun, take
Hmm.
risks, be silly, be goofy. Um, but I realized, doing that again, like trying to do something that take a risk that really gets something stuck in someone's head, say something you wouldn't normally say, to provoke a reaction. I think that's what's kind of fun about pop music is it puts people on their toes. You'll
Yeah.
hear some weird lyrics presented on like a pedestal, and you're like, did they really just say what I thought they said? Then you rewind it and you're like, yes, they did. Okay, this is a great song. Like the first time I heard "Fuck You" by Black Bear, or what is it? "Hot Girl Bummer," "Hot Girl Summer."
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, wow, you could say "F you" so
Some
smoothly,
yeah, you could say it
and
with such such like effortlessness. You're just like,
yeah,
you got the vibe like musically in the background, and you're just like, man, he just said "fuck you," but like in a like sexy way.
with
Like
backup
with
singers.
backup singers. Yeah, that's the ultimate like G move is if you're like if you said "fuck you" and then just had like backup singers saying the same thing that you just said. You're done. You're
Yeah,
cooked. It's over.
yeah. Mic
Mic
drop.
drop.
Like
Yeah, exactly.
song's over.
But I did like something, and I'm glad you pointed this out too, because like I think in 33 sinking in, you said this one phrase, and I'm probably gonna butcher it, but you had said something. You're like, you're gonna say like I was gonna say this, and then you paused, and you're like, that's a phrase, and I was like,
Yeah,
that's great, like because he could have said it, right?
yeah,
You could have said
yeah.
it, but I think it made it more interesting that you didn't say it, and then you're like I was
I
literally
almost
like
said
cooking
it.
my dinner, and then I heard that, and put my knife down, and I was like,
By golly, he did it
I
again.
was like, did he? And then I went back and rewinded it, and I was like, he did say that.
Oh,
That's
that's
wild.
great.
So I loved that. That was great. I got to give you a lot of
Yeah,
kudos on that.
I don't know. I was having fun when I was writing the words for that, and I was thinking of the lyric, and I'm like, that is depressing. Like that first lyric is these days I wish I were. And then I catch myself thinking it. I almost said dead. Um, it's like a lyric I thought of writing in the song, and I'm like, that's a little dramatic. And I was like, well, what if I said it in a funny way, and
What if I said
censored
it?
myself? What if I talk about saying it instead of just saying it? Like that makes it any easier. But I think sometimes I guess like what I liked about it is we catch ourselves trying to create or sometimes just communicate a thought,
Hmm.
and we censor ourselves, we stop ourselves, which is usually a good thing so we don't misspeak. But in this case, when you're just trying to be honest with yourself, you're writing words down on your phone or on a piece of paper, and you almost write the lyric, some days I wish I were dead. And yeah, I think it was just a way of trying to communicate, like, yeah, sometimes our thoughts are dark, and there's not necessarily always darkness behind it. It's
Sure.
sometimes like you catch yourself, and that's what can be the saving grace. Obviously, hopefully we can all speak with ourselves and have some sense. But yeah, I think with this, I had some fun trying to be a little more honest than I usually am in songs, and also realize, and try to let the listener know, like it's not all so serious. Like, being 33 is not that terrible. There's a lot of things I love about it, but I think being dramatic makes for a good song. So I kind of leaned into my dramatic thoughts and was just like, all right, I'm gonna fucking run with it. See where this
Well,
goes.
like I said, I gotta give you a lot of credit because I think like the way that you kind of censored yourself in that way, I think it made it more encapsulating because you're like, what is he like? I was like, he was gonna say it, but then he didn't say it, and then you're like teased a little bit, and then you're like, yeah, that's just a phrase, and then
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck just happened, like I.
What the
And then
hell just happened?
and then I listened to the rest of it, and then I came back and circled to the same thing again, and I was like, he said it again. I mean, obviously I'm listening to it again, but like,
Yeah, you catch
I
it.
just want to make sure I heard this right the first time through, so I had to make sure I listened to it the second time to make sure, I didn't get like the censored version or whatever, something like that. But like,
Yeah.
it really worked out, and I think like you said, you got to have fun with it, and I'm glad that you were able to like again make the like a negative thing into something that you could just like be candid about, and I think that worked
Exactly.
out. I think that worked out very well. So again, I'm glad you pointed it out because I wanted to like somehow weed that into the conversation because it was like it was so well put together, and I just, like I said, I was just kind of like floored that I was like, this was great. Like this was
Oh,
lyrically, it was
cool.
like it was good. So
Oh, great.
I hope that people catch on to that. And if you did, if you're watching this, because you'll probably be watching it after the song's released, but I would definitely recommend checking out that part because I literally just like had to stop myself and be like, he say that shit?
Awesome.
Dude, he said that shit. Oh no, he didn't say that shit. He said the shit. He said it. Yeah. So that's how I felt. So if you felt the same way,
Awesome.
let me know in the comments. But the next question I have for you, Steve, kind of the follow up because we've been leading up to it a little bit. What are you currently listening to? Do you find yourself listening to the artists that you kind of do engineering work for, or do you just say like, let me throw the engineering bands that I engineer, the music I like, I listen to, and just put it all into one big pile and just listen to it all together?
It changes a lot. As a sound engineer, listening to so much music during the week that often I'm not exploring new music as much as I used to.
Fair enough.
So I'm listening to a lot of things like, I listen to a lot of like lo-fi hip hop, just like instrumental music when I'm driving home, when I'm just relaxing. It's kind of great thinking music, and it doesn't dominate your thoughts. Your thoughts kind of can be louder. But I listen to a lot of whatever Spotify tells me to listen to. I listen to the Discover Weekly, and there's a ton of bands. I think over the last few years, um, Spotify's kind of gotten my taste into a different, genres. But
Hmm.
one band I listen to on repeat is this band called Daywave. Phenomenal. It's kind of like indie rock. It's very, yeah, I would say like on the lo-fi end of things. It's
Ooh,
very like
okay.
relaxing to listen to, but melancholy is a good word probably to describe it. But some of the best songs. This guy's another self-produced artist, which I'm always fascinated by. I think I gravitate a lot towards artists like that end up working on their own music.
Hmm.
Like Tame Impala. Um, People that it always fascinates me because you get such a different glimpse into their mind as an artist. Like you said, sometimes things sound meticulous, and you can really hear the attention to detail. And I don't know, I grew up listening to music in headphones and just kind of tuning out the world
Yep.
and listening to the curated experience that someone else worked on. Um, so yeah, I guess I find a lot of music that's just like a little more. It just kind of grabs your attention when I'm not listening to just background, elevator jazz. But yeah, Daywave is one of my favorite bands. I think you really appreciate them. They're just like good songwriting, and it's like heartful. It's very simple, but it says a lot, and it's stupid catchy, so it gets stuck in your head all day.
I feel that as either people may or may not know about the channel, like when I'm sitting here at my computer desk editing and my cat is currently, sitting on the bed behind me. Usually I'll either put a vinyl record on in my like massive amount of music that continues to grow on a daily basis. Or I'll be like listening to a lot of lo-fi. A lot of the stuff I listen to more specifically is obviously, as you can tell, I'm a huge video game fan, and I could see the Smash Brothers poster you have in the corner over there. So
Oh
like, I
yeah.
know I'm in good company first and foremost. But yeah, I listen to a lot of like, like Nintendo like lo-fi kind of stuff where, like it incorporates different like musical cues and stuff, and you're just like, as a
Yeah.
fan, you're like, this is great. If you are anybody else that does not like video games, you're just like, you're a huge nerd. And I say, yes, I am. So
Yeah, one of my
fuck
favorite
off.
stations is like Nintendo Lo-Fi. That's like
Oh,
one
it's
of my
great.
favorite.
Oh
Yeah,
my god,
it's
it's so
amazing.
good. It's great.
I haven't really told many people this, but I'll tell you on this little program. But I started making some lo-fi instrumental like
Ooh.
Nintendo music
All
myself.
right,
So
let's go.
I won't say my alter ego, but I have put some songs out on Spotify. You might find me on some of those playlists, but
Okay,
yeah,
okay, all right.
hopefully soon.
I'm gonna have to check them out. And
Yeah,
I
be
just
like
bought
inspecting you.
this one. I never get a chance to talk about this, so this is my time to talk about it. Uh, but I feel like I picked up two vinyls. Well, I guess they're not recent, but like kind of semi recently. And it's by this artist. Mikel. It's Mikel. He
Okay, yeah.
did Pokemon and Chill, which is
Yep.
like just a bunch of like Pokemon songs, just crammed into
Lo-fi'd
a
out. Yep.
lo-fi'd out. Again, banger soundtrack. If you haven't listened to it, it's great. Like I know the atypical joke is lo-fi and like steady beats and chill, but listen, it unlocks something in your head when you're editing. You just like,
Oh
it's like
yeah.
that fucking like scene in when Bradley Cooper takes that like drug and he becomes like this like insane like like hyper focused dude that just like is like, okay, I see this is good, all
Yep.
right, blah blah blah. That's how I feel when I'm sitting at my computer desk and I'm listening to lo-fi in my headphones and I'm just like, I'm like this, I'm like, I got
Oh
it, we're
yeah.
good. So shout outs to Mikel for doing that, and then he also did. A huge Studio Ghibli fan, so he did Studio Ghibli like songs, and those are also fire. So and I think he does it with this other guy. I don't want to pronounce.
Game chops.
I
I
it's
thought I.
Game Chops is just a great channel to check out. So I'll leave a link in the description and go give him a sub. But um, they also did. I think the other person on that like collaboration is called Jacobi or something. It's Jokabi. He also is
Okay.
great, and they usually wind up doing some sort of collaboration together on these lo-fi records. So again, got to give him a shout while I have the opportunity to, and I feel like Steve already knows. Like I feel like I'm already we speaking in like the same parallel.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've probably listened to the Pokemon soundtrack more times than most people. It's like that got stuck in my head as a kid so
Oh yeah,
often that the Pokemon and Chill soundtrack is like exactly what I need to
yeah.
feel nostalgia, but also not feel overwhelmed. And you can just relax, do
You're just
basically
just
anything.
sitting
It's
here.
perfect,
You're
like
like,
focused music.
it's the most chill thing you can put on. It literally is in the name, but honestly, it's like you just hit this like beautiful plane of existence. Where you're just like, man, I don't mind that I'm sitting here editing this video because I get to listen to this like fucking sick like Route 9 remix. It's sick. So again, shout outs to Game Chops. Great, keeping me alive here. Um, the next question I have for you, Steve, is an interesting one. I'm very curious on your take on this. For people who check this interview out, and we haven't lost them in that video game section, because we're going to be coming back to it a little later on. But what would you recommend to a new listener checking out Roderick and has not heard of your band? What song would you recommend to a new listener to check out first?
Oh man, it's tough because I've definitely always been a little schizophrenic as a songwriter. So over the years, it sounds like it's a different band. I just put an EP out last year that's
Ooh,
kind of in
okay.
the indie wave like vein of things. It's very shoegazy.
Ooh, all right,
It's
yeah.
not as rock as a lot of the stuff that I've kind of done in the past, but it's kind of based around that. I found a lot of clean, pretty guitar tones, and I would say check out a song I made called "Too Fast."
Ooh,
It's something I'm super proud of. It's different, but if you want to get the full spectrum, then listen to a song called "Awake Before Dawn." After that one's like 8 years old at this point, but it's a good kind of like old to new. You get a good sense of the different style, changes over the years. But I think I have a lot of new songs that I'm very excited about coming out with. Sinking in being like kind of the first of many that
ooh, all right.
hopefully, and yeah, I've got a lot of plans. I'm trying to iron it all out, but like I said before, like strike while the iron's hot, just because it doesn't happen often, and might as well, feel when you're feeling inspired. It's fun to kind of keep pulling at the thread and see what else comes.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, really enjoyed sinking in. That one was like, I think that one as well. Not to show for the new song, but we got to. I feel like it is a great representation for someone who I didn't know prior to this, and listening to their music and being invested. Because I feel like for myself, I love that so much. I'm very curious on like how the rest of the songs kind of sound, especially within the same sort of time period. are they gonna sound the same? Are we gonna have like a blast beat song in the next track? Who knows? I it's not written in stone, and so that was a joke, guys. That was a joke. But like I feel like for me, it's like yeah, we're gonna hear. You're
It's
just gonna
coming.
hear some cymbal rides, No, I feel like for me, it's like you can kind of get an idea of where things are gonna be transpiring, beyond sinking in, and I really like that direction because I think it hits that like perfect sweet spot of like indie. Like there's like a little bit of pop punk in there, and there's a little bit of emo in there, and I think that, for me personally, it's something that I gravitated towards pretty immediately. As you can tell, like I'm a huge Movements fan. Well, I like the one album before that too, so don't feel like this is the only one that I like. Um, but yeah, I feel like for me, it hits that like perfect like indie stride point that I love hearing. So it got a
Awesome.
very curious again how the rest of the songs are going to work out in the grand scheme of things, but it's going to be interesting to see. And guys, if you haven't checked out Roderick, links are in the description to go give him a follow on social media, all that stuff. The reason why Steve's on here, so go do it.
Do it.
The next question I have for you, Steve, another fun one. If you could pick a song to cover, what would it be?
And it's funny you say that. So the song I put out, actually, I put a cover song out in August. That
Ooh,
is a song that I've been obsessed with for years, but particularly like the last 2 years, haven't been able to get it out of my head. But Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for
yes,
Fears.
I
So
heard a
like
little clip of
everyone
that. It
loves
was
that.
good.
Yeah. So I put a cover song out in August, and that was just something for the longest time I wanted to cover. I never felt particularly good about it. It's a great song. It's hard to kind of touch. And then I just was jamming on it one day and I started playing it a little differently. And I thought, like, oh, this would be fun to do, try to put my own spin on a classic.
Sure, yeah.
I got a friend of mine who's an artist I work with and record, this guy, Nate Roulette, and had him sing a verse on it and sing one of the choruses, just like Tears for Fears had the two singers. It came out great. It was a blast to do. So that would be one song that I would say I would like to cover, but I just covered it like a few months ago. But another song that I've just always wanted to cover over the years, but I don't know what I would do to it. I'd probably just play it the same. But "Buried Myself Alive" by The Used. I think I
Ooh,
don't know why that song has always been on my, like, when you're gonna do a cover, like, do that song. Uh, but who knows? Maybe I'll get inspired and I'll crank out a little live cover of that, and
ooh. There we
get
go.
my get my high school emo on, and take it
Yeah,
from
you
there.
can borrow some of my long hair if you want. You can just swoop it over. That's me every time I get out of the shower. I feel like a real emo.
Right?
Um,
Like, I just got a haircut, but I had almost a little swoop going on
almost,
before
yeah.
that. So
Next time we have Steve on, we're both gonna have the emo swoop.
it's
I
been too
can't confirm or
long.
deny it. Yeah, that'd be a very long time. But I did check out a little bit of that Tears for Fears cover, and I was like, man, like there's something about it that obviously is familiar, so people know this cover song, but like not in that sort of sense. It just like felt like okay, this feels very much close to the original, but in a way where it wasn't like okay, they're like note for note copying like the same thing. It has this sort of like Roderick quality to it that I like. And for me, as you know, people know my stance on covers. I do like them. I don't feel like some people are like, man, that's your Achilles heel. You can't do that. Covers suck, but I do see the utility of covers, which I think is more so a comment on if you're in a band and you can do a cover song, how can you make this cover song sound like you, but not like completely just like decimate the track. Like if you can keep the
Yeah.
song the same and still have like that core like this is a Roderick song. Like that to me sells it. And I felt like with the Tears for Fear cover, which I'll link below, go give it a watch. I thought you definitely handled it very well. As someone who has heard that song millions of times, probably at this point,
Yeah, right.
I think you did a great job of again keeping in that lane of like this is a cover song, you know, but like this is also a Roderick cover song. So like, how
Yeah.
can I make it seem like those two are like, you know, synonymous? And
Hmm.
I think you did a very good job of kind of keeping those things in check. And I'm very curious about the use cover, so we'll have to see what happens. And then of course I always have to ask this on the comments, guys. Let Roderick know, let Steve know what song you would love to hear him cover down in the comment section below. I'm sure he'll check them out, and who knows, maybe it will wind up being a cover song that he'll put out.
Yes, inspire me.
Inspire him.
I will
Do it now.
choose you. I will choose your words and probably do it. And yeah, that would be fun. A ton of fun. So.
There we go. Well, Steve, I have to ask. I don't typically like asking this question, but I'm going to ask it because I think it's going to eat me alive. Um, in terms of the name Roderick, because we kind of did make a joke about it at the beginning. How did this name come to be? Like, I'm very curious on why you decided to name it Roderick, because that seems like I don't feel like that's a name you were just like, you know, you wake up one morning, you get it. Like if I was like in my bed, I'm not like waking up and be like, you know what, I'm gonna name my band Roderick, and then just go back to sleep. You know,
You know, um, I should make up like a cool story, but
you should.
the truth,
Oh, that's like
it,
less on the totem pole. Like if at least if
uh,
no kidding, don't.
the truth is way less rock and roll. But
That's all
when
right.
I was like 14, I was going to start a band with a friend. It was just going to be an acoustic band because everyone was into that shit. And I was like, "Hey, what are we going to be called?" He's like, "I don't know." And literally the first thing I thought of was, "What about Roderick?" And he was like, "Nah, it sucks." And we didn't start a band. And I was like, "Well, forget that. I'm gonna be Roderick then." And this was like before that show or that book came out, the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick, and like, you know, it was like relevant enough after I named myself Roderick, and I'm like, you know what, whatever, feels right, feels right. I'm gonna stick with it. So yeah, over the years, it's just become like a pen name because it's, you know, like I said, if I put music out under my personal name, I don't know. It's hard to come up with band names nowadays. So that just always stuck as like it felt right. I think there's like a Hispanic Roderick on Spotify. So if you see him and you hear Spanish, like it's not me. I'm not that gifted to speak Spanish, but look at the next Roderick and you'll find me.
That's great.
Yeah.
That should be the slogan of Roderick now. Is
Did I just
if
make
it's
up my
not
own
the
tagline?
it's not the Spanish guy. That's what the title should be on the
It's me.
Spotify. No offense, and then put no offense in like very tiny font. He's
No
probably
hablo
great. He did that.
español.
Yeah, no. You have like the Spanish, like it's just like it would be like the phone call, like when you call into like a call center. It's like press 1 for English, Roderick. Press 2 for Español, Roderick. And then you're
It's like,
good. You get.
which one does 33 sinking in?
They're
I
like,
think he's
can't help you.
Spanish.
Patch you over to the call center, and then it's like ring 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 ring, and then it's
Was
just
on
like,
Shazam.
and they're like, it's actually the English one. You want the English one? Okay, great. Press 1.
I don't know. He looked kind of tan.
The resemblance, man. Like, we'll have to find out, guys. You know, Cyber Sleuth Brandon's gonna have to be on the case on that one. We'll have to flash up a side by side, you know, and you tell me which one's the real Roderick, because we won't know. Uh, Obviously, you would know because you're watching. Never mind. I'm not gonna spoil the illusion. But yeah. Anyway, that is a great name. I was just like, man, I wonder if he just has like some cool story behind like the name Roderick. But then also at the same point, you nailed it. You know, because I think it. I think you can't really think too much into like band names all the time, because like one of my favorite bands is Bill Murray, and it spells it like weird,
Yeah.
but it looks like Bill Murray, and you're like, man, I love that band Bill Murray, and they're like the actor. Like they
Yeah.
like look at you like you have had like a stroke or something. They're like, "Are you okay? You need to sit
That's
down."
no band.
That's
Yeah,
no
no.
band. That is an actor. And then I'm
That's
like,
become the new gold of band names
but then
these
it's like,
years.
but then I'm like, then I show him. I'm like, no, but look, see, it says Bill Murray on it.
People, yeah, that is a good confusing one. I remember back in the day, I think like one of the old ones was Tony Danza's Tap Dance Extravaganza.
Yes,
It's like, what a name! Like I've never been able to forget it. Like,
you will never forget it.
yeah,
It's in your heart.
yeah. Hopefully Roderick. I used to say at shows, I'm like, it's like Matthew Broderick without the B. I need a better slogan. I think I've got a couple of options.
You do. You got plenty of
Got some
business
work to
cards,
do.
business card opportunities there lie underneath.
Got to
It's great,
workshop
guys.
these,
Get ready. The Roderick merch is gonna be off the chain right now. It's gonna be so fresh. I feel like you should definitely make a shirt that says that. Just take the B out of Roderick.
right? It'll be like a picture of Matthew Broderick
Yeah,
as like
just like
a young guy, and it'll be like just scratch off the B. I'm like, I don't really get the band name. I might as well call myself Broderick actually, because that's almost more unique. I don't think there's
yeah,
gonna
but
be a
then I feel like,
Hispanic
but then I feel
Broderick.
like you'll get lumped in. Like I feel like either option, you're just screwed. Like if you get Matthew Broderick, you're just like everybody that's looking at Matthew Broderick's just gonna be like, who the fuck is Broderick, right? And
Yeah,
then when you stay with Roderick, you're like, he's not Spanish. What the fuck? Like so,
it's
either
a
way,
lose-lose.
it's a lose lose, But you can kill it with the fresh merch. So this is this. This has been our TED Talk, guys. I hope you've
The brand opportunities
the
are
brand
limitless.
opportunities. You can get in on the ground floor of Roderick, the NFT right now. Get ready. I'm just
Oh
kidding.
God.
Oh man, this was good. The next question I have for you, Steve, because we like went off the beaten track and then we literally went into the woods somewhere. But the next question I have for you is a fun one. I always love asking this one. If you could pick somebody to collaborate with on an up and coming Roderick record, like a dream guest, who would you love to have featured on an
Oh
up and
wow.
coming ML?
I feel like I'm sounding like a fanboy now, but I think that artist Daywave would be a total dream. He's based out of California somewhere. I record and produce my own music, but I think I love his style of creating sounds and kind of capturing sounds, and it would be like a dream collaboration. I think for myself, just because I would get to be more of a musician and just kind of perform. And, like I said, as long as you kind of have a song figured out, when you're in the right room with the right people, you could take it any different direction. But I would trust his, judgment with making a song. I think it would come out great. I've heard a lot of productions he's done for other artists, and it's like you can always tell it has a finesse to it.
Ooh, all right.
But yeah, it would be great because I think I've always loved writing for other people, kind of trying to put myself in someone else's shoes. So a collaboration with someone I really respect would be like, ooh, what a fun assignment this would be.
There we go. I would love to
Yeah.
make that happen, so we will. Guys, you
Yes.
go on your phone, you go onto Twitter, you tag Roderick, not the Spanish one, because listen, we've already been through it. Rewind the video and then come back to this exact same spot, and we'll be up to par on that. But so you tag Roderick, the white one, and then on top of that, then you also tag Daywave and say collaboration ? And again, I didn't go to legal school. I don't have any sort of law, thing behind me saying that I am, can tell you the law, but can say could happen. So,
Definitely could happen.
so that's all I can tell you, legally. That's all I can tell you. Like if you happen to hit that like button or like the retweet button, that's on you. You believe in the product. You believe in Roderick. You want to be on the ground level. I respect you. Get in while the good's going. Respect. And then listen. You could be on the ground level and say, listen. You can screen cap that tweet and be like, listen. I was here since day one for Roderick. and
I
I
made it
respect you.
happen.
You made it happen, so that's big respect. So if you want to hear that, I would love to hear it, and I feel like you don't want to let me down as the interviewer. So like, I know
Do
it's
the
a lot
right
of weight.
thing.
I know it's a lot of weight, but like Steve said, do the right thing.
Do it.
Do it. So
Do it.
make it happen, guys. The next question I have for you, Steve. I imagine you obviously play guitar and you do vocals and probably some other instruments that you play that I don't know of. But if there's another one you could master, what would it be?
Oh man. I could say something normal, but I think I'm gonna go with my spirit here. I'm gonna say like the didgeridoo. It would be incredible to bust out at a party. Everyone's sitting down, and you're just like, you just fucking hit them with that deep didgeridoo. And I've tried. It is a very difficult instrument to make sound out of. I usually just end up blowing raspberries through it, like. It sounds pretty similar too. So
It's close.
I don't know. Jokes on them, I guess. But I think I would love to master that, or something pretty like violin. But
Oh, all right.
yeah.
Yeah. I think the didgeridoo's on point, You put it on your LinkedIn, you say, master a didgeridoo player, I think that's what gets the ladies now, right? That's what I'd imagine.
I'm pretty
Just
sure.
roll up
and,
to like a party and be like, "All right, guys, check out my didgeridoo." And you're like, "Is that like a euphemism for something?" And then you're like, "No, actually, check out my didgeridoo." And you're like,
I also do bar mitzvahs.
yeah. If you did bar mitzvahs, I feel like you would just be at the wrong place at the wrong time, Like,
I don't know, man. It might change the game, and that's what I'm here for.
that's what, yeah. That's what all of the like Jewish people at bar mitzvahs are like. You know what? We're really missing some didgeridoo.
Yeah, I'm craving a little something different tonight.
There needs to be a little bit more like low end on this, Like I feel like bass players should just be replaced with didgeridoo players, That'd be kind of hot.
I could get behind that for like,
No offense to bass players, I feel like I offended all two of you, but I
You offended
Sorry.
all the guitarists that pretend to play bass.
that's
That's
why
like
would you
me.
call me out like that, Steve? I have my bass over here. Oh my god, I'm done. I just get up and leave. It's like, yeah, we both leave. No, yeah, no, that would be very cool. I'm always curious, like whenever I see videos of didgeridoos, I'm just like, how the fuck do they play these things? Like so. If anybody knows how to play didgeridoo, hit up the DMs because I'd love to know.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Show me.
I'll pay you for lessons.
Yeah, I would first have to buy a didgeridoo, which either A, may be very expensive or not worth the investment. Certainly, no offense to the didgeridoo players out there that watch my podcast here. I appreciate you.
They're just waiting for the didgeridoo review.
Yeah, listen.
Coming.
I'm waiting for like the prime like didgeridoo like maker to just sponsor one of my videos. Be like, I'm just like, do you like this? Hey, what's going on, guys? I got a package in the mail. It's the world's smallest didgeridoo.
I already know the slogan. It would be "Didgeridoo, don't pass up this opportunity."
Oh,
right? I think I just sold every didgeridoo.
You have. All the buy now. It's like one of those like MSNBC things. They're like, oh my god, we're running out. We only had two, and we were only supplying the other two didgeridoo players on the earth.
We severely underordered.
I feel like I've offended most of the people in Australia at this point, so I want to apologize just in case I do get canceled on the internet. I want to say a huge sorry to the didgeridoo community, the do community, if I can be so blunt,
Yeah.
Respect.
The
The didge. Oh man, this is great.
didge.
I'm loving it. Honestly, if somebody were to share this clip into like a didgeridoo like Reddit like subreddit, I'd love that. That'd be great.
I get what I deserve then.
Yeah, same. We'll both be going down on the ship, Salutes, Steve. The next question I have for you is not to get us canceled, certainly, or maybe it might. I don't know. But is my personal favorite. As I mentioned at like kind of the middle point of the interview, I'm a nerd, clearly, and I love to ask this question. Steve, if you could be a video game character, who would you be?
Oh man, hands down, I would be Link from Zelda. Mostly because I think I'd have a lot to learn from shutting the F up sometimes and just like, that character doesn't speak the whole game except for, all those sounds.
Yeah.
And my very first tattoo was a Triforce tattoo that I actually have
Ooh,
on my wrist. So
nice.
I'm definitely right in there in the nerd club. And yeah, I think that would be dope. I don't know which game Link I would be because he's like a different one in every game, but
He
I
is.
think I would go with like Ocarina of Time. You get to be a kid and a teenager and you're like, yeah, get to fucking rock out with a horse and
Yeah.
but yeah, you get a hook shot and the sword. The sword is great.
Yeah. He doesn't like to just cut shit up with a giant sword. You're like a kid and you're just like, and then you're just like, it's great,
Yeah.
It's every
You're like,
kid's dream.
hi, I'd like to buy one fish. I'm sorry I
And they-
destroyed your whole shop with my sword.
I'm
5
sorry.
rupees?
I'm sorry
Okay.
I destroyed all of your clay pots that you worked very hard to build, and then you like walk out of the room and you come back in and you're like, oh my
oh.
god, we finally finished taping all of these up, and the kid like picks up fucking throws.
I didn't notice those. I just ran in here with my horse and oops.
I always thought that was strange that in the games, again, nerd alert here. But I always thought it was strange that like when you walked into a building in the game, like in like a house or whatever, and people are just like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then like you go and take their pot and you fucking throw it on the ground, and they just have like money just sitting in the pot. Then you take it. And then you
Like,
walk out of
snatch.
you walk out of the house and you come back in, and I just imagine that they're so like fucked up that they're like, oh my god, this pot's broke, I have to tape this back up. So then they tape it back up, and then like your like sadistic ass just goes back into the building, and you're like, see, I saw you just tape that back up, and I'm gonna ruin it again. And then you throw it, you throw it again, and you break it, and you're just like, I just imagine like the NPCs are just like, what have we what have we
Why
done?
bother?
And then I just imagine like a soft cut, and then it's just like they're at their like village therapist, and they're just like, this kid, I don't know what's going on with him. He doesn't say anything. He just walks into our house, throws our pots, we tape it back up, and then he just comes back and does it again.
We live in fear, constant fear.
What have we done?
We can't lock our doors.
Good thing for those chickens, though. They really come after that kid.
Those chickens are the only one who stand up for themselves. I want to be more like them.
And the therapist is like, we're out of time right now, so we're gonna have to talk to the chicken
You have
next.
to leave.
Yeah, the chicken walks in, and then he just starts like talking in the chicken term. He's just like, this guy won't leave. No. Well, thanks guys for allowing us to enjoy that moment of like severe like messed upness about video games and stuff. I appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time to allow us to talk about that. And let us know what you think happens, because I would love to know in the comments, because, obviously I can ask Steve, master video game player over here, he's got the Smash poster up there, so, big respect. But, we'd love to know from you other gamers out there in the comments. Let me know what your thought process is when you're Link and you're just like rummaging through someone's house and you're just like, am I just going to be like, fuck shit up, man, I'm here, let's go,
No chill. Link has no chill.
No chill. Yeah. So, thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging out in the nerd corner here. We're going to get back to the music stuff. So, I'm going to put my music hat back on. The next question I have for you, Steve, is another fun one. If you were to compile a dream tour lineup, including Roderick, who would be on it?
Oh, man. Geez, I think something that would be fun for myself as a big fan and just as someone who's also from New Jersey. I'm also going to see this band next week or so. The early November, they're playing with I Can Make a Mess, which is also Ace Enders. So I think playing a show with them would be fantastic. It's just like I can remember learning "Ever So Sweet" and singing it at my like
Oh,
eighth grade coffee shop, and trying to impress people with sad songs on guitar by early November. I think that would be fantastic. And if I could get a band to get back together who's kind of active now and again, it would be like the Starting Line, because
ooh,
I've
yeah.
just always loved how Kenny Vasili, or Vasoli, whatever, however you say his name, how he writes music. I know he's doing Vacationer right now, and like everything that guy does is fantastic. But playing with Starting Line, that would be a dream come true. It would be a pretty cool tour. Early November, Starting Line, with Roderick opening up, playing all your favorite hits by Roderick, and cover every song by Early November and Starting Line. What do you know?
I like it. Guys, you can buy the pre-sale tickets in the link below. Listen, we're already getting here. Like I said, we're at Roderick INC, starting right now. If you want to buy stocks, the Roderick stocks, links below, pre-sale tickets, that helps the stock grow. So listen, we're all about the Roderick stock right now. So buy, let's do it up.
Stacks going up.
Stacks going up, stonks, kids, what I'm saying, the memes, stonks, baby, let's go. That made me feel really old. But I am very excited, guys. Listen, again, very similarly to, we were talking about Daywave, if you want to like tag the early November, you want to tag the Starting Line, you want to tag Roderick, and you say like tour,
Yeah. Make my dreams come true. Give me a reason to play some more concerts again. And yeah, I'll be ready.
Yeah, he's ready right now. Yeah, prove it.
Prove it.
Yeah, you're just sitting there watching this video. I know you can do it. You can touch. You can make a tweet. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. As soon as we're done, we're doing it.
I'll tweet about it.
I'll tweet about it. 100%. Don't make me do it. I'll do it. I'll do it for free. Uh, the next question I have for you, Steve, kind of in the same lane. I'm sure you've seen a ton of shows over your years of being in the scene, but who puts on a great live performance in terms of the bands you've seen?
Oh man, I was thinking about this show recently, but it was probably over a decade ago at this point. I'm not even sure, but Under Oath. I think Under Oath is a band that, like, if you're into heavy music, and obviously they've got the poppy songs as well, but they put on such a phenomenal live show, especially with Aaron, their original drummer, back in the band. It's like jaw dropping. Their singer Spencer, really can't imagine how good of a singer and screamer he is to be able to do like what he does live, and like everyone in the band is impressive. So technical, but also just so fun. And I don't know, maybe it's like when you get old enough and a band is still going at it, like it just gets some bands I think get finer with age, and Under Oath's definitely been one of those bands. Like, probably saw them like Warped Tour 15 years ago. Ooh. And then I think I saw their reunion tour last time they were in New York, and it was like, oh my god, yeah, they still got it. They've never lost it.
Yeah, I feel like they're like just the steady horse in the race, like they might have like went off for a few seasons and then they came back onto the track, and like they're just as good as they used to be. Obviously, like I know there's some sort of like disconnect from like previous records they've released. I think the newest one that they released was very good. I liked it. And then I find it ironic that you said Under Oath, because right behind my desk here, I have an Under Oath poster from when they broke up, and they're calling it quits. So I have that tour poster to look at every time, and I'm like, they're not broken up, but that's probably worth like a decent chunk of change, I imagine. So to somebody.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, they're one of my favorite bands. In fact, I think I had said it in an interview, but they were like one of the first bands I ever saw live. So cool. I feel like for me, like I'm always gonna have a lot of love for them, and like Devil Wears Prada and like August Burns Red, because those are like the trifecta, the holy trinity,
Oh yeah.
of like, you know, Christian metalcore, So
Mm-hmm.
I feel that, So I like that answer, and they just have this like energy live that is unmatched, and I've seen them. I think I saw them very similarly to you. I saw them on that reunion tour, that like rebirth tour where they did I believe they did Only Chasing Safety and Define back to back,
Yeah.
and I was just like,
Yeah. Lost it.
ah,
Yeah.
so no skips, zero skips on that night. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm patiently awaiting for them to do Lost in the Sound next. So Under Oath, I know you watch my
Do it.
videos. Do it. I would love,
Do it.
I'd love for that to happen, so I can cry,
And feel good about it.
and feel good about it. Yeah. So if that's the other tweet I want you guys to send out. The first one being, well, actually 3 tweets. First being, wow,
Warm those fingers up.
yeah, Warren, get them ready now. Load it up. But yeah, those are we got 3 tweets locked and loaded that you gotta be gunning for it. Whatever one you want, but I feel like you should do all 3. I don't insert my opinion here, but the next question I have for you, Steve: favorite TV show, favorite movie?
Ooh, let's see. Favorite TV show. One show that's funny, my fiance and I watch a lot of this survival show called Alone. But it's just like a fascinating, fun show. I don't know what it is about it, but it's like, people live in the wilderness for, like last person standing gets $1 million, that kind of crap. And it's fascinating. It's great to see how people survive, in straight up wilderness. And
Sure,
yeah,
yeah.
there's something really like addictive about watching it. Favorite movie, something I could probably watch any day, anytime. Austin Powers, first Austin Powers. It's just timeless, stupid, funny. Peak of Mike Myers,
Oh yeah,
I guess maybe after Wayne's World and everything, but like you really can't top it. And it's so quotable, so insanely
yeah.
quotable.
It's
But
every
yeah,
time.
that's
It's every time I watch. I think it's Gold Member. It's the one where like they cut out the words and stuff, and it's just like you're like,
it's a
it's.
huge Willie. Do you see that? It's like that thing looks like a giant wiener. Get your wieners. Yeah. Oh yeah, I
I
love it.
love those movies. So
It's
if you,
clever as hell.
yeah, oh yeah, the writing on it is like some of the layups to jokes, and then just like the absolute like slam dunk of like the jokes are just on point. So again,
Mhm.
if you love comedy and you haven't seen an Austin Powers movie, you need to, because they're all great and they're all hilarious. And Mike Myers is such a G. We love Myers here. Of course, we got also Shrek. I mean, come on. I know everybody memes,
Yeah,
but like
yeah,
goated.
yeah.
I
Hard.
just
You
figured
can't
I'd let
touch it.
I just figured I'd let people know my stance on Shrek. It's 2 thumbs up.
It gets 2 thumbs up
It gets t-
always.
it gets it gets it get 4 onions out of 5 onions. Sorry, that was. I know, guys. Boo me in the comments. All right, thank you. I appreciate it. Next question I have for you, Steve. Before I just get like yoinked off this, interview. If you were trapped on a desert island for the next month and there was one album you could bring with you to listen to, what album would that be?
Oh damn. For just like a month.
Mm-hmm.
Good question, because I feel like there should be something that I'm like, oh, I want to spend more time with that. But I'd probably go back to something I'd listened to like a million times. One of my favorite records when I was younger, it's called "Something to Write Home About" by the Get Up Kids.
Ooh,
It's
okay.
like I feel like it's an emo classic. 10 songs, 11 songs, but they're just, it's, raw. A lot of music at that time was just raw. It was great melodies, fucking very well written pop songs. And I've probably listened to it in the like 700 mark, easily, but I'd spend another month with it,
You make it another,
intimately.
yeah, you'd make it another like 800 or 900 listens. I respect that.
Yeah, because it's like there's something, when you listen to something like that for more than half of your life, you end up it's like the memories that are attached to it sometimes, but yeah, and then just still, hearing a lyric and having it hit you differently, where you're like, I've heard this song a million times. Why do I feel all of a sudden I'm hearing this lyric for the first time? But
Oh yeah.
you know, it's I think good timeless music. Part of it maybe is the nostalgia factor that feeds that fire,
Hmm.
but yeah, good old music. It's the gift that keeps on giving, and that's something I think I've always wanted to do as an artist myself. Is like I would love to make music that long time after I'm gone, people are still kicking those songs around, and got a lot of work to do, but going for it.
Not too. I don't think you're too far off, But I also feel like for myself, like I can resonate a lot with that. Like there's something about like staying power, right? Like we always talk about like, or I always mostly talk about in interviews is like I feel like we are in this age where it's just like, for myself, I'm an listen to front to back album listener. Same with EPs, whatever. I'll listen to it from front to back. But I feel like a lot of artists are leaning more towards the like, let me put out this single and then just like keep putting singles out, which is great. Don't get me wrong, it's a good metric, but also at the same point, like I feel like you miss so much of that essence of like hearing an album and like seeing like the composition of things and how like lyrically like how everything kind of flows together, and you get kind of an idea of like the path that they're trying to go on as an artist. And I always feel like when anybody talks about singles, it's not a bad thing, certainly, because I'll do reaction videos, as more currently, and I do like, having that illicit reaction to be like, oh my god, this fucking song's sick. But also at the same point, I'm like, anytime I talk about like a single, I'm just like, I know an album's coming, I know an EP's coming, something's gonna happen where I know I'm going to be more invested and be more integrated into it. So, I kind of feel the same way where, those older albums that are like longer, like you're just like, God, there was something about it. There's this intentionality towards writing an album, having it have this like concise meaning, and then, obviously, delivering on that concise meaning. So I gotta agree with you a lot, and that might be just because I'm getting older, but I do love that side of music, and I feel like if we kind of continue on that path of singles, we might kind of lose that sort of like thought process of that. Not that it'll be
Yeah.
completely gone; it just might not be the like majority, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's clear the business model has kind of gravitated towards singles, but I've always been a fan of the album because
Hmm.
for me, you get a little bit bigger sense of like the vision of an artist, and I think what makes an album is sometimes like it's like a time capsule of a certain period in your
Hmm.
life,
Yeah.
and when you have one song, you're not really able to fully express everything else in one period of your life. And, one song might say a lot, but an album says so much more when you listen to a body of work. It
Hmm.
really, you can communicate something different. And I've always loved making albums, and that's kind of something that's sparked in me recently with finishing a handful of other songs. I've gravitated back towards like, let me just work on singles because nobody has the attention span. I don't want to put something out that no one's going to listen to, but I'm starting to see the vision kind of formulate, and it might be in the works for me to really give another album a shot. And for me, I'd rather just make the music I would want to consume myself. So
Hmm.
if I want to listen to an album, I'm going to make a damn album, and I might as well have some fun doing it. But yeah, I think it's cool because you really get a sense of like a period of time. If I make an album in a year, in 20 years, I'm always going to remember like that year that I made that album
Oh
because
yeah.
I'm sure as hell those songs are going to be like journal entries, and it's kind of what I've always loved about music is like it takes you to a time and a place, whether you're listening to it or whether you're creating it. Really developing very strong memories with it, and I don't know. There's something about it keeps me coming back over the years. Like keep trying to make songs, and just I love the realm of music, and try to spread that feeling to other people too, and encourage other people that have fun making music to be like, yeah, keep making music, like share what you enjoy, and you know try to get to a point where we have like a value in music like we used to maybe 20
Hmm.
years ago. Let's just say monetarily value, because people still value it. It's a part of everything, but
Yeah.
we just don't really see artists making a living off of it anymore. So, you know.
Yeah, and I think it's just like I think it's artist integrity too. And that's not to knock like people who just are like doing singles, because I still think they have a lot of artistic integrity to just continue to like pump music out.
Hmm.
Um but as like a content creator, it's like me releasing like one interview every week for the next like 20 years. It's just like, okay, that's nice, don't get me wrong. And I think the way that I go about it is, three a week, and then whatever other ancillary videos come out is what comes out. Um but I think that sometimes you think about it in the thought process of like, okay, like, how can I monetize it? How can I make it how can I make it work for me? And I think that sometimes that like that process of like being in a business and like trying to like, make it work so you're financially like stable or whatever, um can kind of cloud your thought process of being like, oh man, I should like, again, kind of circling back to like, full circle a little bit, like coming back to why you do it and you enjoy it, like you have fun doing it. And I think that um some of that stuff can be taken away or taken for granted a little bit if you're like just constantly just trying to like feed an algorithm, and I know that
Oh
seems
yeah.
ironic considering that I am feeding the algorithm and that I am also interviewing, a musician that I am making money off of slightly, like a little bit, you know. Um, so take whatever advice I have to say with a grain of salt, but I like, everybody wants to make a living doing this, and I think that that's valid, way to live, certainly. And I think that for myself, like as a music curator, I think it's more so my responsibility to just be like, I like this band, like I like what they're doing. How can I try to help them get to the next echelon of, people, right? And I think that, um, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today about that, and it's just like having that community, right? Like I think
Mhm.
you don't I don't feel like I would argue most people's intention getting into the music scene isn't to be like, yeah, I'd love to make like just a fuck ton of money. I mean, that'd be great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think anybody, if you told anybody, musician, that, they'd be like, I don't even know what a fuck ton is, but I'd like to make
Yeah,
that amount of
right.
money. But, but I feel like for musicians, it's always been about like the camaraderie,
Mhm.
why do we do it? Why are we about it? And I think that, at least my hope is that when I have people on here is that there is this level of like, okay, Steve's a person, he makes music for Roderick, but then like ultimately he wants to be a musician, and like let's help him be a musician. Not that I feel like we need to like be like, all right, Steve, you got to write this bridge today, but like I do feel like there is a certain level of push that you should have for people, especially if you want to see them like thrive and do well. So just like be like, listen, Steve, this song's fucking killer. Like keep going, And I think that that means a lot, and we discount those things because we're just like, maybe we're just elitist on the internet, being like, yeah, I wish the mixing job was like a little bit better on the song. Um, but yeah, I think it kind of circles back to our former point of just having fun and doing it and enjoying it because you love doing it, or you love interviewing people, or you like, there's multitude of reasons why you enjoy doing it. And I think it kind of leads into the last question that I've been, I usually end my interviews off with, Steve, which is, why do you do this? Why do you want people to check out Roderick? Why do you want people to care about what you do? And it's not like, like, oh, I just want people to care about Roderick. It's like, it's more or less like Roderick is important to you and
Yeah.
why you love doing it. So tell people why you love doing it and why people should just be like buying the Roderick stocks.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess Roderick for me, like I said, someone who's been making music for fun since I was a teenager. Roderick is my outlet. I used to want to be a professional musician. I used to really be in the circuit, the local music scene, and you hit the nail on the head. Like the community was one of the most amazing parts about it. All of the people I've met are literally some of the best friends I've ever made, and people I know. I think the reason I still make music for Roderick, I always have music in my head. I used to really feel like I had something to share with the world. I got a little older, and that feeling kind of quieted down a bit. And as I've gotten, in the last year of my life, maybe 2 years, I've just kind of found the fun of it again. And for me, it's one of those things. It's just an outlet. Whether people are listening or not, I'm going to keep on doing it, keep on promoting it loudly. I've always loved the power that a song can have for someone. Like you hear the right song at a certain time in your life, and it could literally change your life.
Oh yeah,
And
oh yeah.
my goal is, to try to fill the world with as many good songs like that kind of can help people through different modes. I'm not trying to make like therapy music, but I think just trying to make something that's fun to listen to, but also has some like heart attached to it. So I think, for me, over the years, it's changed, but recently it's just to have fun and to share music with people. Try to, whether it's encouraging people to laugh, smile, just be a goofy jackass, like just have fun. Music is really therapeutic. So for me, making it is therapeutic, and I don't know. I get enough out of that like if someone else enjoys it, that's such a sweet bonus. But I think most of it is probably selfish for myself, like at this point. But then here I am promoting it. So
Feed the machine. Feed the machine.
Who's the narcissist now?
We are. I think that's.
We
I
are.
literally have a channel just dedicated to the fact that I can rewatch this and be like, look at the cool shit I did, kids. Like, or like, look at, you know, uh,
It's
it's
they're
terrible.
memories. It's all memories, and it's all. I think music and memory go hand in hand with me.
Oh yeah, same.
Like I said, whether it's making a song or hearing a song. So I think trying to make stuff over the years that kind of reminds me of how I felt at a certain point. Like that is one of the coolest things. I don't journal. I don't do certain things that some people do. I don't have enough photos of myself, but I think I've written a lot of songs over the years. So if I ever need to kind of look back in my life, I can kind of, look at my journals and give it a spin.
There we go. We love it. Well, again, thanks for sharing your journey with us, Steve, and all things Roderick. I do appreciate it. I'll leave the floor to you. Tell the people where they can find you at on social media so you can show a little bit more. Tell them what you have coming up in the next couple months and anything else you want to plug or talk about.
Awesome. Well, first off, I'd like to say thank you so much for having me, and like pleasure talking. And it's been great. You can find me. I'm Roderick. You can find me on Instagram. I have a Twitter. I've got Facebook, YouTube. My Instagram is Roderick Official. I'm on there all the time. That's probably my main beast. I don't do the TikTok. I'm trying to gain some of my life back from social media, but you'll find me promoting my song hard. I've got a brand new song comes out this Wednesday called 33 Sinking In. I've got a bunch of new music that I'm developing the plan for, but I would say probably expect another song before the year's over. And next year I plan to be very busy. So I'm hopeful that there could be an album. I just got to get working on it. But I've got some songs I am like so excited to share that are done, that it's really giving me fuel to the fire to keep going. Gonna try to play some shows. I'll post about that if that happens. But early November starting line, I'll be waiting for the call. Daywave. You guys have my number. It's 1-800-Roderick. I pick up all hours. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a blast to talk, and I'm so glad you enjoyed the song. I really appreciate all the good things you had to say about it, and it feels good. You're always nervous when you share your art with someone,
Oh
and
yeah.
getting a good reaction is like, your butthole muscle just like releases. And you just,
Yeah, you can unclench. I got you. Yeah.
yeah,
That's how
gotta.
I feel anytime I release a video. So, speaking of which, the reason you're here and you're checking this video out is to unclench me. So, I don't take that out of context. That'd be terrible. But
Unclench me.
I'm waiting for someone to clip that. Oh God. Why did I say that?
You've been
Anyway, on
flagged.
that this video's been flagged. I'm very excited. Again, Roderick is fantastic. If you have not checked him out, I'll leave links in the description to go give Roderick a follow, a like, a subscribe. Listen, people, you already know you've been on the channel for since day one, or you've been here since yesterday, but the deal is still true. We love supporting music on here, so please, if you can, go subscribe to his YouTube channel, and go follow him on social media. We are always trying to, more specifically myself, I'm always trying to promote some of the best up and coming and local musicians out here, as well as, some great bands that I just love promoting. So please go do that. If you enjoyed this interview, share it, like, and subscribe. It goes a long way. And I am currently working. I know it's been an arduous process, but I'm currently working on getting all of these audio versions so you can listen to them on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, and if you want somewhere else, get one of those three first, and then if you find something very obscure you would like me to post it on, then I'll also do that as well. But I really do appreciate everybody's support, and like I said, this year has been nothing short of awesome. So very, very much thanks to all of you people for showing up. But again, huge thanks to Steve for coming on. I swear to God, if it takes this long next time to have you on, I'll be very upset. But I'm gonna hope future Brandon, do not take this long to have Roderick back on. Just put it on your phone or your notes or
I'll come
whatever.
knocking.
He'll
I'll
come
come
knocking.
knocking again.
Okay, great. Love it. But again, huge thanks to Steve for coming on tonight and chatting with me.
Thank you, brother. I had a blast. I'm glad to be here.